What is up and welcome back, and today I'm real happy to bring you a brand new laptop cooler review. Today we're going to have the Llano V10. It is going to be a brand new machine that Llano designed, and it is going to be a great machine that helps cool down your laptop, keep it less hot. Now in this video I am going to compare the V10 with the V12. As you know, in previous videos that I've done, the V12 has been one of the best performers, gives you the best cooling power out there currently in the market. So we're going to see how well the V10 stacks up against the V12. Not just that, we're going to go into all the details, how the V10 functions, the RGB, the performance, and also explain the new design. But before we get into all those small little details, I did want to mention that I did receive this laptop cooler from Llano as a promo, but everything in this video is going to be very objective. I'm going to give you my honest opinion if I think the V10 is worth your time and your money. So with that said, let's dive right in. Now, I do want to give you a tour of the V10 so you can see what you are going to be receiving. You are going to begin the cooler with the foam as well. Very similar design. You do have the buttons right here, and we're going to compare them. Now to begin with the details, I have the V10 on top of the V12 so you can see the size difference. I'm also going to get a measuring tape so we can see what we're actually looking at. So for the width for the V12, you are going to have 12.5 inches, and for the V10 you're going to have 11 inches. So you're going to have an 1.5 inch difference. You can see it right here. About an 1.5 inch difference for the width. Now for the length, we're going to look at the V12. It's going to be around 16.5 for the length, and for the V10 is going to be 14.5. So we are going to have around 2 inches in difference. Line it up a little better, around 2 inches in difference. So that right there is going to be a nice comparison, because if you are thinking of picking up one or the other, now you know what's going to be comfortable for you to carry around, right? The V12 is a lot bigger, so you are going to need a bigger backpack. It's going to look a lot more bulkier if you're trying to be mobile. And definitely for a suitcase style case, this right here, it is going to be a very big suitcase for you to carry around. Now the V10, as you can tell, a lot more smaller size. I do love that. I love that Llano thinking about everybody out there. And now they have a new laptop cooler, different version. And this right here is going to be very well for somebody who's a professional or somebody who might be a gamer and just has a smaller laptop. This right here is going to make it easy for you to carry around, be portable, and especially if you are working 5 days out the week, Monday through Friday, it's going to be a nice advantage to have something that you can put in a regular size backpack. That right there, I know a lot of people are going to love that detail. Definitely when you look at the V12 on your desk, personally it's not that big of a deal for me, but if I did have to carry this one around, then that would be where I'll start thinking about it. Hey, the V12 is pretty big. So something small like this, like I said, great details from Llano. Now also, I do want to explain some differences. If we take a look at the V12, you can see you do have these style type buttons where you press down and you hold it for a little bit and it does turn the machine on. So this is going to be more of a tactile type feel to get on the turn on and to change the settings. And you are going to have this scroll wheel. It's going to be the style of this one. But for the V10, you are going to have actual physical buttons. You just press down, turns on the machine. You can change your RGB settings, and then you have the control of the fan with tactile buttons also. No scroll wheel. So that right there is going to be a difference. And you are going to have similar details with the kickstands to hold your laptop from sliding down, and a tour of what it looks like. Similar detail with the RGB, different style in the back. We're going to get into that when we get to the RGB section. You also get 2 regular USBs and a USB-C to power other devices like a keyboard or any mice that you might have, and then your connection for your wall outlet, and then your USB-C. But like I always recommend, if you are going to pick up one of these coolers, always use the wall outlet, because you don't want to be draining the power of your laptop. If you are mobile, right, you want your laptop to be running as efficient as possible. So don't have a lot of devices or devices that take up power hooked up to it, especially a laptop cooler, because it is going to slow down the performance of your computer. Better just to have this plugged in separately, this machine separately to the wall, going to make your laptop run better. Now that's a nice little tour, and I am going to explain a big difference, which is going to be the style and design of the fan. You can see right here we do have the Llano 5.5 inch in diameter fan, or 14 centimeters. You can see it's a very nice big fan, but the design of this fan, the air just escapes all around it, and you do have the foam to seal in the air, so when your laptop is sitting on top of it, the air eventually is going to enter your laptop to cool it. But with the V10, it is a different design. As you can tell, it is going to be a smaller fan. It's going to be 4.72 inches in diameter, how big it is, or 12 centimeters. It is a smaller fan, but because it is smaller, Llano designed it to spin a lot faster, and it can get more rotations in. So you are going to get around 3,500 RPMs on this machine. So it's going to spin faster per minute. And with the V12, you only get 28 or 100 or 2,800 rotations per minute. So bigger fan, but less rotations, but you get fantastic cooling power. Now it's going to be a smaller fan, but you get more rotations. And we're going to find out how well this one performs. Also, as you can tell, the setup of it, the air is more directed to where you want it. It's not just going to escape all around the fan. You're going to have it being pushed out right here in this area, right here in this area, and so forth. So the air is going to be a little more directed, and that could be beneficial depending what kind of style of laptop that you have. And I'm going to give you a example so you can see what we're talking about. Right here I do have a modern Legion Pro. There's going to be a 7-4090. Also is going to have a Ryzen 9, and you can see it does fit very nicely with the V10, so it's going to be a perfect match. Now we turn it around and look right here. It's going to be the intake vent for the laptop. And if we do this comparison like this, we're being objective right here, we can see the intake air vents, that they are going to line up a little bit with the foam. The foam is right here. You see that? Same thing on this side. So when we do place it on top, it does look like a perfect fit. Really looks very nice on top of it. But a little bit of the intake air vents are going to be laying on the foam. So you're not going to get the most ventilation, we can say. Almost, I would say, around 98% if we were to compare it. You're going to get most of the air really entering the laptop and escaping, but just a tiny bit is going to be covered up with the foam. So it's still going to perform very nice, and we're going to actually do the performance to see how well this laptop is going to cool down. And just take a look at your machine. See where the vents are, right? If they're in the center or down here, or if you just have a very small vent, that you're not going to get the most benefit from a cooler. Okay, that's something I wanted to bring up because I do get a lot of questions. But as you can tell, this type of style laptop, it's going to be a very good candidate for a portable cooler like this one. And for the V12, there's not going to be any issues for the V12. And I can actually demonstrate that so you can see. And like I said, Llano is making something for everybody out there. With the V12, we do look right here at the vents, and you can see they're all going to lie within the enclosure area, this area. So you're not going to have none of the foam barely blocking. Now also, I did want to talk about a lot of MacBook Pros. I do get a lot of questions, is my Mac going to work with one of these coolers? And actually the straightforward answer is going to be no, because if we look underneath a MacBook Pro, we can see there's no intake vents. This one right here is going to be an older model, but a lot of the newer models have the same type of setup. You can see no intake air vents. You are going to have some escape vents right here on the side, but that's not going to be sufficient because they're on the side for escaping air, nothing for taking air in. So the MacBooks are going to have a different type of setup for the cooling. They're designed differently. So a laptop cooler is not going to work for the MacBook Pro. So I did want to bring that out, or other MacBook devices that you have, just so everybody is aware. So definitely, if you are thinking of picking up a cooler, look at your laptop. And also for the accessories, you are going to get, of course, your wall outlet and also an extra filter. And that's going to be very nice because you can just swap out the one that comes with it. And I like that it arrives pre-installed. So you have that right there. Then you have the spare, the backup. Plus the warranty information, and then a USB-C cable if you are thinking of using that. Very nice setup, easy to remove, just like the V12. And then you're going to have the kickstands. Now the kickstands also, it does a push right here. So if you do press down, you can see you are going to have 3 possible levels to your cooler. You can have it up a little higher like that, or you can press these inward. You can have it at a lower height. And this could be beneficial depending on the type of work you're doing. You want your laptop to be sitting up at a certain angle. It's going to be a lot easier for you to use it, or just flat on the table or the ground. You can see that right there. So very nice details overall. I love Llano. They do try to think about a lot of things. The rubber is very good. You can see really holds the cooler in place. So if you do get your lean on your laptop, it's going to stay in place. Love that they have that type of rubber. Really does its job. So now what we're going to do, we're going to plug in the machine and we're going to show you the RGB, and then we're going to get to the performance test. The bottom of the V12 is going to be very similar to the V10, just on a bigger scale. So there you have it. So now we have the lights off. So I'm going to turn on the machine so we can see the lights. You hold down the button and it turns on. You can see the lights going from the side view all the way around to the other side. Now you're not going to have no RGBs right here in the front. So it is going to be a different type setup, but I still think the aesthetics of the RGB lights look amazing. Going to turn it around, get a look of that. Just look at that side view. Looks fantastic. I'll keep turning it so you can get the full experience right there. Just look at that. I think it's a great look for the setup of this cooler. Let me go through some of the options, some of the modes. Fades in and out slowly. Fades to a different color. And with the middle RGB button, you can always control the change of color for certain programs. This one has no effect, but for other modes, that middle RGB button allows you to change the color. So you are going to have more options for the RGB lights for the V12. For the V10, you're not going to have as many options. Still a nice amount, as you can tell. So it is going to be very nice if you are looking to get a little bit of RGB lights going in your setup. But like we talked about, you are not going to have any RGB lights in the front. And that right there is just going to be mainly for you if you are sitting in the front of your computer and you light the lights, right? You're not going to have anything to look at. But if you do have other people game with you, it's going to look very awesome from the side look. Or if you do stream, that side view is going to be fantastic. So I love that they did a smaller design, yet they do give you the option of picking up the V10 with RGB lights. And there's also the option of picking up the V10 with no RGB. So that right there can cater to different type of people, right? Some like the flashiness, others are a little bit more conservative, but now you do have the option of both. And then you do turn it off by holding it down. Now, I also did want to mention that when you first turn it on, let the RGB lights load, because if you first turn it on and then want to switch all the modes, there is going to be a delay. You saw how nothing really changed, right? Once the lights kick in and everything, then you can change it, no problem. Touch and go. So just let the lights load up, and then after that you can go through all the modes how you like. And you hold it once again to turn it off. But like I said, I love how this feels. For me, I do love physical buttons more than when it's a digital type screen. So there you have the RGB. Let's go into the performance now. And I know that's something that everybody wants to find out. And to begin our testing, the first one we're going to do is the noise level test. And as you can tell, I do have the laptop on top of the V10. So this is going to be the first one we're going to test out for the noise level. And I do want to mention that the V12, the lowest RPM is going to be 300 and the max is going to be 2,800. Now for the V10, the lowest RPM, the fan speed is going to be 300 and the max is going to be 3,500. So it is a difference in RPM levels. Max 2,800, max 3,500. But the one's going to have a bigger fan and smaller fan for the V10. So we're going to get a nice comparison to see which one is actually more louder. So for the remainder of this test, I am going to be quiet so you can see how much the dB reader is giving us. So with that said, let's get started. Now we're going to go into the testing phase. We're going to see how well the V10 is able to cool this modern laptop. This laptop is a Legion Pro 7 Gen 8 16-inch, and it's going to be carrying a Ryzen 9 AMD, an RTX 4090, and it's also going to be a 16-core machine. So it is a very capable modern laptop. Now I'm going to give you the readings. Going to record with my phone because it looks a lot better. So for the core temp, we are going to have it at 59 degrees Celsius, fluctuates, sometimes goes up to 67, 69, you're seeing that. So the core temp, as you can tell, it does measure all the cores at the same time, captures them as they're fluctuating, then does give you an overall temperature reading. So right now is at a standstill at a 59 degrees Celsius, but you saw that it can move up as well. Moving on to the task manager, we can see that the graphics card is going to be at 43 degrees Celsius, and then we're looking at the AMD at 53 degrees Celsius. Very nice, with no heavy programs that take up a lot of workload. And then for the MSI Afterburner, again, is going to be at 53 degrees Celsius for the AMD Ryzen 9. So MSI and Task Manager pretty up to par for that Ryzen 9 reading. So this is going to be the temperature readings for the laptop being pretty much at neutral state, just turned on, no heavy workload program is going. And now we're going to turn on with a game I like to play a whole lot, Halo Infinite. It does take up a lot of resources, and we're going to see how high the temperatures go up, and then we're going to turn on the cooler and see how well the cooler lowers the temperatures. Now we're already in game, and the game has been going for a while, so you can hear the fans from the actual laptop going. They are running pretty constantly, and they are somewhat loud. Not too overpowering, but I can still hear them pretty clearly. And so I am going to give you the current readings that we're getting with this game. So if I zoom in right here with the phone, we can see that the core temp has climbed up all the way to 72 degrees Celsius. Then we go to the task manager. We can see that the graphics card is at 61 degrees Celsius. And the AMD Ryzen 9 is going to be at 69 degrees Celsius. Now for the MSI Afterburner, we're also getting a 69 degrees Celsius, so pretty consistent right there. So we can see that there is an obvious jump with the RTX 4090 and the Ryzen 9. The temperatures did go up significantly, 10 degrees or so plus up. And that's what we're getting right now, and the computer is working. The fans are going, they're not stopping, they're going to keep going constantly. So let's see how well the laptop cooler can actually cool this laptop down. We're going to turn it on right here. It's at 300 RPMs. I'm going to move it all the way up to the max. We're at 3,500 RPMs. And you can see the difference in the fan loudness. It's a lot more louder now with the cooler going on. And we're going to give it some time and see how well the V10 cools down this modern laptop. And we're back. We let the laptop cooler run for a while. It's at 3,500 RPMs like we mentioned. Let's get a close-up of the temperature readings. We can see for the core temp, we are at 59 degrees Celsius. So we are getting a matching 59 that we had previously for the overall temperature. Very nice right there. Impressed with that. Let's move over to the task manager. The graphics card 4090 is at 50 degrees Celsius. I did see it at 49 also for a little bit. And then we are having the Ryzen 9 at 56, 57. Move over to the MSI Afterburner. 56, 57, for that Ryzen 9. Very impressed. The V10 is cooling very well at 3,500 RPMs. Now we're going to see how it compares to the V12. We're going to test that out next and then give you our overall thoughts at the end. So as you can see, we do have the V12 going. It's been running for a nice while cooling the laptop. We do have it at the max RPMs, which is going to be 2,800. So let's get a close-up of the temperature readings. We do have core temp right there. We have a reading of 57 degrees Celsius. Very impressed with that. Moving over to the task manager. Our graphics card is at 48 degrees Celsius, the 4090. And then our Ryzen 9 is at 55 degrees Celsius. Look at the MSI Afterburner. 54, 55, 56. 54, 55. It is staying around that area. So very congruent with what the task manager is giving us. So very nice to see. Again, the V12 is one of the best coolers out there. It gives you the best performance for the cooling power. And now let's get an overall view of how well the V10 performed against the V12. We do have the V10 and the V12, and they both performed amazing. But we do have to compare them head to head. The V10 is going to give you around 10 to 12 degrees in cooling power. And the V12 is still the giant. It's going to give you 13 to 15 degrees in cooling power. So you are going to get around 2 to 3 degrees more with the V12 compared to the V10. Yet, I'm still very impressed with the V10 because it's slightly behind in a smaller design. So that right there does say a lot. And like you saw with the temperature readings, they do fluctuate sometimes depending on the reading scale that we're looking at. The computer is doing a certain processing at a certain time, so the temperatures fluctuate, but we're very confident after I tested these out that both of these can give you at least 10 degrees in the cooling area, but this one a little bit more than the V10. So just have that in mind, right? When you are looking at temperature readings, they do fluctuate. It's kind of like an open flame. You're not always going to get a temperature staying in one number. It's going to fluctuate. So have that in mind. I also did want to mention that it's important to look at your laptop because different designs can work better with this model and a different design can work better with this model. Just look underneath your laptop and see where the vents are at, the intake air vents. If you do have some at the bottom and some at the top, this might be better because it's very specific to the bottom, to the top, and to the sides. But if you have big area of vents, for example, like my laptop, something like this might be better because the air is going to travel more general and it could get in there a little bit better. So it all depends what type of laptop you have. That's going to be for you to look underneath and decide which design is going to work very nicely. Now, I also did want to mention that it is preference, again, the design. Right here, you do have more digital type buttons, right? They don't feel as physical like these. And I love physical feeling buttons. That's just a preference thing. And then the RGBs, it is going to be 360 all around for the V12. And for the V10, you are going to get RGBs, but none in the front. It is going to go around and stop, a little area with no RGBs, then go around again. And I just think the aesthetics of both these are fantastic. They look great in their own way. And it's all going to be what you're looking for, all preference. You can't go wrong with either or. It all depends on what you're looking for. You want strictly power and the noise level doesn't bother you, this one is going to be it. You want some power, but you want it to be a little bit more quieter, then you can go with the V10, which is going to be 5 or 8 dBs lower than the V12. So now you have some nice options to choose from. Llano is doing great things, coming up with different designs for different type users. You are mobile, you are a professional, day in and day out you're carrying your laptop. This can be perfect. It's smaller, it can fit in a smaller backpack. Now this one, the V12, you're a gamer or you don't mind the big size if you're a professional, you can carry around a bulky backpack or a bigger style suitcase, carrying case for this one. Right, so all going to depend how you feel about them. But I just think overall both of these are fantastic. They're great choices. It's all going to depend on your needs. And for the price tag right now, during Prime Day, it's Prime Day on Amazon, you can pick up both of these for 88 USD. That's fantastic pricing, 88 or 88 USD. And usually the price tag is 100 or 105 to 119 depending on the color that's available, right? So 100, 105, 110, 119, and now both of them for 88. So if you are looking to pick up a cooler right now, is the time to do it. Both of these are great in their own way. So that's going to be a wrap for today, and hopefully you got something out of it. And if you did, please sub and like. I am a smaller channel. Every little bit goes a long way. It does really motivate me to keep going and bring you more of these videos. So we'll see you until next time. Peace and much love.